Good afternoon, everybody. It's Joy Lingerie, your on Matured Musicians podcast broadcast. And I'm here with Sunny Jo Loudin. And we'll be getting to her in a minute. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Chad Christ at Delicious Moss Studio. He produces my music. Originally, he was set up for drummers and guitarists for recording. And he's more or less moved from that to recordings, a lot more recordings than he's ever done before. He's very, very good, easy to work with. If you have any needs at all, he has very creative, conducive environment. He even has heat and air conditioning now, but yeah, for there for a while. It took a while, and you can find him on Facebook or just put in Chad Quist and on Facebook, and you will get to him. He also has recordings on YouTube, so if you want to join YouTube join in on YouTube and put in Chad Christ, you will find his music. He is the lead guitarist for the band Heart by Heart. With that being said, I'm so happy to have you with me here, Sunny Jo. We've managed to. I've never met her before, and I think you're a delightful lady. So I'm going to ask you some questions about your background. I was on my bed while we were waiting to get in, reading again your bio. And I'd like to ask you to start with how you got involved in music and what instrument, if any, and what influences did you have at the time?
I've been singing since before I can remember. I remember my mother told me this story when I was 3 years old. She took me to the library to a Christmas concert where there was a gospel choir singing, and I stormed up there in my little red velvet dress and stood in front of everyone and just started singing at the top of my lungs, and nobody stopped. And she said right then she knew that I was bound to be a singer no matter what. Growing up, I did musical theater I grew up in Federal Way, Washington, and there was a really great musical theater called the Puget Sound Musical Theater back then. And we did, the Music Man and Fiddler on the Roof and all that. And it taught me about, being part of a group and acting and singing and, letting your voice be heard and all that. I started professionally singing probably around the age of 16, doing weddings and special events kind of solo. And then when I graduated high school, I did a year in the Green River Community College Music Company, which is it used to be, it's no longer, but it was a touring music group, which taught you how to pack in and pack out and rap chords and chart your own music and all of it. It was a really good training. My influences when I was young was, like Mahalia Jackson, powerhouse singers, Whitney Houston when I was
yes.
That was just my thing. When I graduated high school, right after, the music company, my uncle Bud, I loved him dearly, and he started Clover Park Tech Beauty College. And so he convinced my parents that Sunny needed a backup plan. So I went to beauty school and I got my hair license. And I did hair for about a year, and it just wasn't paying the bills. So I started going down to SeaTac and hitting the karaoke contest and winning $500 a night. And I was part of this little hustle where there were all these professional singers, and we'd each take a bar every night that was doing a concert, and then we'd win, and then we'd switch, and then the other one would do it. And so then an agent came in from the Belmont agency at one point and said, "Hey, why are you doing this? Come work for me." And I went on the road with several different duos and trios and stuff like that, and ended up traveling the world and just as a cover singer in hotels and casinos, and had a long stretch in Istanbul and a long stretch in Tahoe a couple of times, and basically did up and down the West Coast. So for like 20 years, I was a cover singer. And it wasn't until just recently that I have a couple of albums that, I never really promoted much of, just my original stuff that were just projects, basically. But it wasn't until about years ago. Better grab that.
I thought I turned that off. Excuse me.
Yeah, answer it. Let me talk to him. Um, it was about 3 years ago I started writing my own music again, and started the band Sunrust with my partner Russ Majon, and now we're finally.
Tanya, I'm going to put you on your own for a minute here. I'm here. I can hear you. You can't see me. Okay. So just hang in there. Nothing's happening except you're at full screen.
Well, hello.
So just go on with the story that you were telling and how.
I just I've had a lot of musical influences in my life. One big thing that happened is when I was in junior high, we went to go see a singer, and I haven't even ever told this story before. Her name was Jane Powell, and I don't even know where she is from or who she was. A gospel singer, and she was doing a concert in Seattle, and we, as a choir, went to watch her. And she said, "Does anybody in this audience want to get up on stage?" And the entire choir that I was with was school. They just pushed me up there, and I got up, and I think I sang like "Summertime" with her or something, and just, boy, we blew the roof off the joint. And I knew right then, that this is what I was supposed to do. You just don't fight it.
All right. So what was your first paying gig? And how did you go about finding it? Do you remember? And
I don't even remember.
I can't remember yesterday, so I can imagine it's a little hard to remember all those things.
No idea. I have no idea. I was doing like weddings and funerals and stuff like that. And I won't do funerals anymore because I can't do it. I just don't want to. I get too emotional. But I've done so many shows in my life, I don't remember all of them. So.
Yeah, I get it.
My favorite one was in Istanbul. I was there for a few months playing at the Grand Hyatt 6 nights a week. And lucky for me, I have made contact now with a very good friend of mine over there who has invited me to come back. So I'll be headed back to Istanbul in June for a few weeks to travel the country with her. Yeah, great.
Perfect. Absolutely. Wow. I don't even know where it is.
In Turkey.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So do you think about, this probably not a fair question to ask, but it's still relevant. With the situation the way it is, do you think there's going to be any issues traveling there?
Well, she is of privilege. And so we will be traveling with her bodyguard and her assistant by private town car cross country. And we're going to be going from Istanbul to Cappadocia to Bodrum, where she has a summer home. And then the bodyguard is going to accompany me back to Istanbul, stopping in like Ephesus and Izmir and seeing the holy sites. So I'm going to be covered. And to tell the truth,
that's amazing.
If I got stuck in Turkey with all the stuff that's going on in this country right now, I think I'd be just fine. I love it there. So, but I'm sure everything will be fine, Yeah.
You're brave. I don't know. You're a brave girl. Hey, maybe it doesn't take bravery in Turkey. Do you sing in English or?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, this time I'm not going to go over there to sing though. I might bring a guitar. I don't know. This is just fun. But I travel quite often. I was in Greece in September. I did a private show there. Wow. And that was super fun. And I went by myself. So that was, and I went to Athens and to Mykonos and then back to Athens. And, I know I can do it because I'm on the move.
From hairdresser to superstar. Wow.
Right? I know. Well, once an artist, a lot of like singers and musicians that I know, if you're creative like that, and especially like songwriters and people that really, you have to have no fear to be a songwriter. You have to put your stuff out there and not be afraid of judgment because you're creating something that has never been done, correct? So, it kind of goes the same way with life and with talents. So like, I'm not only, I like to paint and I like to quilt and I anything that is creative, I really, hair dress, like doing color on hair and cutting and whatever. If it's with what your heart feels at the time, that's what you should do.
Absolutely, I agree with that. We have some things in common, not to bring any dark moments into this, but I believe when I was reading your bio, you said that you had an illness, cancer. It's
Oh,
not a good word.
a couple of
And,
times.
and after that, you decided to write. So, how long ago was this?
So
How long
I
have you been?
I battled breast cancer when I was pregnant with my second son, and that was like 20 years ago. And
Wow.
that was a real rough time. And I had just literally gone off the map. I decided to be a wife and give up singing completely. And that was about 4 years out of my life on chemotherapies and stuff.
Mhm.
And if you would have asked me at that time why it happened, I would have said, hell, I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea. Like, I don't even have it in my bloodline. Like, there's nothing involved with cancer in my family. Um, so 13 years later, I got this cabin. I was with someone living here who I thought was, you know, the love of my life. And I, I was in yoga doing a back bend in class, and I felt this tear in my chest, and I went to a doctor and ended up at this oncologist, and he took a biopsy, and he said, yeah, it's terminal cancer. This is the worst of the worst, and you've got 2 weeks to live, and here's some Xanax, sweetheart, because chemo will be ineffective. And so they tried to put me on hospice, and I got mad, and I ended up finding my old oncologist, and he said, yeah, you're probably going to die, but we're going to try to hit you hard. So they did. And about 6 months in, then they said I was going to have to get part of my sternum cut out. And this guy living with me left me in a rage. And it was this ongoing narcissistic abusive situation that I didn't know really that was happening because it was normal to me. So when this all happened, there was a lot of elements to it. I had nothing to live for at this point, so I went through with this surgery that had never been done successfully before. The UW turned me down twice. They said it couldn't be done, and we found a guy that would do it. So they took out a 2.5-inch square right over my heart. Then they radiated my lungs. They said I'd never sing again, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I went into this adrenaline mode, and it pissed me off so bad. I was like, you know what? If there is one person that's going to live through it, it's going to be me. And 8 months later, I was singing the national anthem at the Tacoma Dome. I knew that I was going to do this again. And I kept doing yoga, and I kept trying to like work out and keep my mind clear. And it was hard, but I started distracting myself with, quilting and painting. And then 4 years ago, I decided to pick up a guitar. I said, how hard could this be? And I taught myself to play in a night.
Wow.
And that's what chemo does. I was on chemo this time for 5 years, and it opens up all the receptors of all of your everything, all of your six senses, and it's crazy. But anyway, then I started writing, and I went, my first open mic I went to, I met my partner, Russ Mejan, and he encouraged me to start writing about what happened, as raw
Right.
as it may be. But we decided that it was more important to write looking in through a window, like, so when the audience hears the songs, if they don't know the story, they could hear it and interpret it for what has happened in their lives. So there's a lot of little elements of magic in these tunes. And I ended up writing an album, and it has continued. It's just like the snowball effect. And then, then we created Sunrust. And last year we won Music Video of the Year for La Luna in the Washington State Independent Music Awards, which I'll play for you later. And we released Nightbird, our music video and single, and that one was cool. All these songs are kind of about what happened, and that one is very theatrical. It was filmed in this cabin, and we threw a gothic masquerade party that day. It was great. And now we're about to release Crack the Code, our new release and music video. And the music, the single is out on YouTube. You can hear it. Um, And the music video will be released on May 24th, and we're going to release the premiere live on, is it the 24th? At the New Frontier in Tacoma. Let me just make sure of that. It's going to be a really great night. Let's see, yeah, May 24th at the New Frontier. You know, and I'm doing other things. I still sing. I've been singing at a live yoga yin show, which is like, yin is like a really calm practice of just relaxing and getting yourself into different positions throughout the hour or 75 minutes, and just trying to sink into the floor and think about nothing and bringing yourself into this meditative state. And I partner with my friend Tina. She's amazing, and she does the yin class and speaks her magic and her calm, relaxing words while I play my album acoustically. And so we'll be doing a show. We're just starting to promote it. I just put it on air today on May 10th at Revive Yoga in Lakewood. Uh-huh. So yeah, and then Sunrust, my band, you know, we have so many up and coming events. And besides the New Frontier, the next one after that is at the Central in Seattle on June 11th. So, you know, it's just this ongoing, we don't try to take gigs every day. We like to make it an event.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I finish your sentence. I'm just going to ask you
I was a shameless plug. So you could see all of our music videos on YouTube. And all of our singles are available on every music platform of the world. You know, we're just trying to, you know, get the word out. Our music is meant to inspire. It's meant to heal. It's this energetic flow. You know, when I'm singing at the show, if somebody is sitting in the front row with tears in their eyes, like locked in, that feeds me too. So it's this whole experience.
Right, I understand that. Yeah, I also had cancer. I had a band from 2000 to 2015, and I had two cancers, one right after the other, and I got so weak from the chemo and the radiation that I had to walk away from the band. And for 4 years, I couldn't touch music. I couldn't. It's too painful to have walked away after I had a great band. And when COVID hit, I thought, what the heck am I going to do? I mean, there's just so many hours you could practice your guitar and sing, right? Mm-hmm. And to yourself, of course. So I decided, well, I got involved with a lady. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Raymond Hayden. He's a pianist.
I know Raymond.
And Jessica Lynn Whitty.
Yeah, they were working with Megan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they had a program called Happy Hour at 5:00 every night. So I would turn online and I would tune in. And Raymond was saying, well, why didn't you write? You know, and I thought, well, I've never written anything. So I thought, well, I don't know. And she would have us give recipes. She would choose people, her listeners, a recipe because it was taken at like a bar type setup. And then they would make that cocktail and drink it while she was talking and promoting her music. So I gave him one called Southern Hurricane because I like Southern Comfort. I can't drink it now, but I did then. And she started making it. And as she was making it, the more I thought about it, I thought, you know, that would make a great song.
Love it.
Yeah. And so I've made, I think like 15 or 16 of them I put on my website. And yes, you were saying to me earlier how much it takes to put that music out there publicly. And it takes a lot of courage to bare your soul in song and then present it to others. So I get it 100%. I get your struggle. And I think you're amazing because mine seems pretty small in comparison. And I just, you know, it was breast cancer and endometrial and I had my downtime, but then COVID hit and I faced death because I didn't know what was going on during that period of time. And I just poured myself into my music, so I get it. I think music is an absolute healer.
That's healing. Yeah.
People don't believe it. Some people don't believe it, but I think it's scientifically proved that it is, not only for the doer, but for the listener.
Well, and one thing, if you would have asked me years ago why I got cancer, I would have said, I don't know.
Mhm.
But now I know. I think that I am really energetically charged, that I feel really deeply on all levels. And when I'm around toxicity of any kind from another person, I take it in. My nervous system cannot handle it. And when I'm around like a toxic individual, I can literally, I feel this stabbing pain right here, like this panic attack. And I really never understood that it's sort of like my language to upstairs. Do you know what I mean? It's like this, I'm this conduit, and that's how I write too. Like everything's just sort of downloaded within 5 minutes and it's done. I'll composed everything. But anyway, back to the whole. I think that our intuition is so important now that it's like literally another language. And I think that my system gives me cancer when I am at that stress level. Even if I don't know I'm at that stress level, my body knows it. And this is how it's guiding me. And so now I know that I need to just keep my circle close. I need to stay around very positive people that are nurturing and loving. And if I feel that envy and ego and toxicity, man, I got to get out of there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
And I think a lot of
absolutely.
times, like I talk to my clients during the day about this a lot, and most of them that have some sort of a illness or all these weird autoimmune diseases that nobody even knows what they are, and even they don't. Chances are these people have been in some sort of a traumatic situation, and their system cannot handle it, so they compartmentalize. Do you know what I mean? And the
I
body has
do.
a way of handling things. It's for your best intention, even though sometimes it's terribly painful. But this experience has completely opened me up to a completely new reality. It's like it has been my awakening. And so I'm not the same person I was 7 years ago when this happened at all. I'm much wiser. I take things with a grain of salt. I realize that this is just the dream. Do you know what I mean? Like I flatlined for 5 minutes this last time when they were taking out 9 feet of tubing out of me, holding my cavity together. And during the last, 7 years ago, that during the last 3 feet of tubing, I left my body for 5 minutes, and I flatlined in the office. And I remember it, and it was so much more real than this. And I was just down a long dark hall watching them work on me and stuff. And now I just really take life with a grain of salt, that this is the dream. We manifest this with our thoughts. We can create. And if we think positive, we will get positive. If we surround ourselves with negative people, and you know what, we're going to get negative back. So you have to just will it to happen and just let the universe. It's like the law of attraction.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that's a very creative but scientific way to say
Mm-hmm.
it. Even though you're not bringing science into it, I think there's science out there to
It
back
is. It
that.
is. Eventually they will have rhyme and reason to it all.
Right.
It may take 10,000 years, but
Let's hope not. Wow. So, with all that being said, I think it's right at the point where we can go ahead and hear you play. I'm going to disappear like I did before. I'm trying to move. I apologize to the people trying to watch me, but I've been moving this computer because the light is coming in and it's giving me. Anyway,
all right.
so
Well,
I will back out, and
I'll
you
play
have.
one. If I have time, I can play another too.
I want two at least.
Okay.
All
So,
right.
and I wear my pick backwards on my finger because I taught myself to play, and nobody told me otherwise, and that's what I do. So, I don't try to mess that up. This is called La Luna. This is my baby. I don't ever play this acoustically, so this is super fun. She glows on her own in her heavenly throne, in a silvery floating balloon. And the raven decides to committing the crime, to steal the light from the moon. The owl winks an eye, and with a shrill of a cry, to proclaim that the raven's a fool. And as the raven takes flight, like a thief in the night, blinded by the luna, the moon, he is blinded by the light of the The owl gets a thrill as she dies for her kill. The raven that moment confused, that as he takes his last breath, in the moment he checks that she just stole his life. But you can't steal the light, no, you can't steal the light from the moon. Bathed in the night, in the light of La Luna, forever in bloom. I can't decide when I'll steal the night, but I can't steal the light from the As a nocturnal magic and twilight sets in, I am filled with the sorrow and memories of him. And I beg you, La Luna, to give them a clue, 'cause they can't steal my light. No, you can't stake my life, and you can't steal the light from the moon. Whoa, bathed in the night, in the light of La Luna, forever and I can't decide when I steal the night, but I can't steal the light from the moon. I held it on high in the night of La Luna, forever with you. I can't decide whether I'll steal the night, but I can't steal the light. No, you can't steal the light. No, you can't steal the light from the moon. Oh, you can't steal the light. An impossible flight. Oh, you can't steal the light. You can't steal the light. You can't steal the light from the moon.
Wow. Lovely. Wow. I can understand that they would like your music in Istanbul in Turkey.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very.
very. There's a certain Middle East flavor in there.
I know. That's when I really started writing music. I was in Istanbul, and
Ah,
I remember it was snowing outside, and I was stuck in my room and looking out, and it was just like it was so beautiful, you know. When you open up the door to, I was like up on the penthouse suite. It was just amazing. I was treated like a rock star. They were just wonderful. Heads up to the Grand Hyatt in Istanbul. They treated me like a queen. Um, but you could hear the call to prayer a couple of times a day. And the melodic structure of their music over there, this Arabic kind of thing, just really hit home. And I my whole life, I've kind of written with that whole flavor. And
lovely.
then my second album, I hooked up with an Armenian producer, and we, you know, I kind of, it was funny because I started, when I picked up the guitar, I started playing like him, which was weird. He had this whole Armenian flamenco thing, and I don't know, I must have paid attention.
Oh, you have a time for another one. I want to hear another. Which one? You're going to do, I think, a new song, right? One of your latest?
Well, you know, I actually have written 4 new songs that we haven't released yet. I cannot do that yet. So, but stay tuned because those are going to be on the show soon. But I'll sing you this one. This is one that, you know, sometimes you have daydreams about things that maybe happened a long time ago. And this is called Destiny. When the blood runs cold through your veins and your hands let go of the reins, float through the shadows of all that remains, as destiny's calling your name. Did you love as hard as you could? Did you do more evil than good? Did you covet the envy of fortune and fame, as destiny's calling your name? Did you creep through the gallows and hide in the hollows as your lover was stolen away? Stumbling stoically, rest down heroically, destiny's beautiful name. Did you leave when you said you would stay and forget all the magic she made? Look in the mirror before it's too late, or sleep in the garden of addiction and pain, or burn for eternity, fire and flame, as destiny's calling your name. Did you creep through the gallows and hide in the hollows as your love was stolen away? Stumbling stoically, you left you heroically, destiny's beautiful name. Did you creep through the gallows and hide in the hollows as your love was stolen away? when you said you would stay and forget all the magic she made. Look in the mirror before it's too late. See the reflection of who is to blame. We're born for eternity, fire and flame. As destiny's calling, and your name is forgotten. As destiny's calling your name.
Amazing. Well done. Well done, indeed. Since you were singing, while you were singing, Megan joined us. I thought you might like
Yay!
to.
Hey,
Hi.
Meg, my girl.
Very beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
we just did a big show together, her and I. We're trying to empower women. And
Yes.
so we threw a huge gala. We did it ourselves at the Spanish Ballroom in
I've
Tacoma.
seen that.
We
Yeah.
made it a huge art festival for Northwest women and singer-songwriters, and her and I were two of them, and we plan on doing it again. It was a major success. We did so good, and we didn't even use a promoter. We did it ourselves. I was like, I've been doing this 30 years. I can
That's
figure this
amazing.
out. And she is just like a little, you know, a freight train when it comes to ideas. Like she's real smart. So, and an amazing artist also.
She says here, you sound amazing. And I agree. That is definitely, like I said, it has a Middle East flavor. I don't know, probably because of that influence, but and it's
Well, I did an ancestry.com thing, and I
yeah.
always told my father's whole side of the family, you're Scotch and you're Irish. It turns out I have no Scotch and Irish, and it turns out that I'm mostly Russian,
Oh, oh,
and there's some Bavarian and there's some Alsace-Lorraine and French in there, and Norway. But the Russian thing, it was like 85% of my heritage, and I was thinking, is this coming back to me from all my ancestors or something? But yeah.
absolutely. Oh, interesting. So, this thing about empowering women, sometimes I bring this up, sometimes I don't. But, I found that men are not always helpful when it comes to helping a woman in her career. And I'm not talking about all men, I'm just talking about occasionally we have different things thrown at us, like, um, they just I would say that a very small portion of men, not all of them,
I tend to
they don't get
disagree.
us. I don't know how to say.
It's ego. It's ego.
Agreed.
Don't think that when you go through a traumatic event in your life, obviously, unless you've been through it, you cannot context it in your brain. You know what I'm saying? And especially in this business, there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of competition, and it's a very cutthroat kind of thing.
Yeah,
And it's totally unnecessary because we're all in our own lane. Like that's been my problem my whole life. I'm not in anyone else's lane. And my music now, they're categorizing it as gothic folk. We sit in velvet parlor chairs and we dress, I dress just like I do. It's kind of like a vampire, and I almost like really relate to a vampire because I'm sort of the undead, right? I died and I came back, and now this is my life. And it's funny because it's like I I when you're dying, everybody wants to help you, but when you live, they're resentful. It's like they just came in to save me just to boost their own ego of their martyr self, whatever. But then when you end up living through it, now all of a sudden they're resentful and they don't want to see you succeed. And this is where I've encountered, you know, like it's just been a huge life lesson. So it's so important, men or women, you know, it's really important to feel your own inner lion and your strength. And there is no competition. It is you. This is a personal journey, this life. What can you do with it? What can you create? Right?
Absolutely. You get no feedback negatively from me when you say things like that, because I agree. I absolutely do.
Well, we all have magic. Some people are just not brave enough to tap into it. And it takes, really, I swear to God, it takes death to really be able to unleash your full potential if you are granted the chance to stay. And so now it's just like, well, what the hell do I have to lose? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to just go for it because we're all going to die, and it's just a matter of time, and you never know when. So you might as well just do your best with every day that you have.
Yeah. Well, I agree in what you're saying, and I have it from a slightly different point of view. I was raised Catholic. Oh, anyway, um, and I fought the church over a lot of issues, but I still have, the basic morality. And for me, there is this universe that we draw from. I, as an artist, draw from,
Yeah.
and when I was in college, or actually the universities, there were times when it was like this window opened,
Yeah.
and I saw and felt things that I had. Well, it was almost futuristic. I mean, I saw things that I can't even explain as far
Yeah.
as the clarity of whatever I was working through at the time.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah. And I see that as being, I see God or a power. I don't know what kind of power. Um, that no matter what religion you are, or non-religion, whatever, that you somehow tap into that. And
Religion is so broad. You know,
yeah,
the first trip that I took when I ended up surviving 8 months later, a bunch of my friends from high school saved up all this money to send Sunny to Europe if she lived. So I flew myself to Rome. I ended up in a
wow.
tomb, and I am not religious. I ended up all I wanted to do was see a dead saint. And I ended up in this tomb in Rome after I was lost all day. I was down this weird corridor, and I walked into this church. It was built into the side of this cliff, and there was this little tiny little door at the front with a big red rope in front of it, like don't go through. But the door was open and there was a light, and so I went around the rope because I don't follow rules very well. And so I went down this stone staircase, and it was just me and this saint, and it was this tiny little tomb. There was roses and candles, and her name was Saint Francesca. And I sat there, and it was just, all this trauma from dealing with this massive heartbreak of the love that I thought that I couldn't believe I lost, and that I survived death, and he didn't want anything to do with me. And it was just this awful. And I prayed for clarity, and boom, it hit me like a brick. And I wrote Saint Francesca. I mean, I'm just going to give you an excerpt, just I know you're on a time schedule. And it was written within a second. And when I was done, I left, and all the masks came off everyone. I saw everything so clearly, all the red flags of anything it all just hit me like a brick. And then 2 weeks after I got home, I researched it, and I said, who the hell did I pray to? Who was this saint that was laying there? And I researched Saint Francesca, and she's a saint of clarity. How much time do I have?
Much as you need, lady.
Lost in Rome, down the streets of cobblestone, the wreckage of my heart has left me alone. And through the door, don't know what's in store. There she lay, the candles lit, beckoning my soul. And how can I let go? I say to thee, I pray to thee, Saint Francesca Clarity. I bow to thee, and I vow to give my heart. Oh, if I see in me the way to thee, under all transparency, Saint Francesca, guide me in your way. Down in the tomb, a 16th century room, I put my hands upon my heart and pray. I pray the gods for saving me. I pray the angels help me. And as the tears fall down my cheeks, I cry. I say to thee, I pray to thee, Saint Francesca Clarity. I vow to thee, and I vow to give my heart. Oh, if I see me where to thee, under all transparency, Saint Francesca, guide me in your way. So pray, cross your heart and blessed be. Thank you, Lord, for Italy. Saint Roma, guide me with your grace. Break this chain so that I lose. Sanctify Dominus. Sleep Italian angels and pray. Say to thee, I pray to thee, Saint Francesca Clarity. I bow to thee, and I vow to give my heart. If I see me worthy, under all transparency, Saint Francesca, guide. Saint Francesca, guide me. Saint Francesca, guide me in your way.
You gave me the chills, lady. I felt that one.
So the Catholic thing, the saints are real. All of it, you know. I mean, I think that all religions, they come to one, you know. It's a personal experience that people have perceived in different ways that create religion and different, but you know, these incidents have happened and miracles still happen every day, and you just have to pay attention to it.
Absolutely. I'd say you're a miracle.
Thank you. I feel,
You're not even supposed to be here. I mean, here you are in all your glory.
and God bless you for surviving such a monstrous thing.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it at the time, but now um, I still wake up in the middle of the night and wonder where it's going next.
Just
uh,
let it happen. You know, it's a gift.
yeah,
Just have to see
yeah,
it that way.
right. And I try to live my life as best I can, enjoying and savoring the moments, the small moments in life, because I think they're so important. And especially in music, there's so many people that I know and that I come in contact with, not only through this program, but when I go to jams and so forth. And, you know, it's just so much creativity and the messages, the people that I've been doing this for 4 years. So just about every Monday for 4 years. And I've taken a little break here and there, but not much. And what they bring to the table, it doesn't matter at what stage, you know, if you're at a much higher level of learning than some of the people that I interview on here. But it's a journey that we all taking because of the music.
It's a personal experience. You know, there is no right or wrong, and there's no one
Good or
is,
bad.
you know, more enlightened than the other. It's we're
Right.
all on our own path, and you know
Yes.
that path is the right path,
Yes.
regardless if it's a negative path or a positive path. We're here to learn. So if you're able to like face your demons and look yourself in the mirror and really try to change your life for the better, and just, you know, feel appreciative for even the pain that you experienced, it does open up the doors of miracles.
Yes. You put it so eloquently. Absolutely. So in the last few minutes, we've got about 8 minutes or less. Uh, Once again, I'd like you to tell me what you have coming up, where we can find you, and do you have a YouTube channel? I'm assuming you do.
Yes, our YouTube, we're under Sunrust
Okay.
underscore music, and it's Sunrust. There's another Sunrust out there, but we're the real Sunrust, and we're from Washington. Um, we have a show coming up on May 24th. It's the release of our new music video, "Crack the Code." We will be premiering the video at the New Frontier and doing a live show that night, so you can hear us. It's going to be a party. Then we were going to do the Central in Seattle, an iconic bar. It was Russ and I, it was our first show at the Central. And my cousin Wade, he was in a band back in the day called Seaweed. And they opened for Nirvana and they opened for Soundgarden, and they still go on tour. They're kind of this cult following. But it was our first gig at the Central a couple years ago, and there's Seaweed's poster right on the wall, and I thought that was really cool. Like, I'm in the right space here. It's a very hauntingly epic music venue. So anyway, we'll be there on the 11th of June. And then I'm leaving for Turkey for 3 weeks, and I won't be back till the end of July. And then we have more gigs coming up after that. So yeah, and we have, like, you know, we just released our new, it's a EP called The Raven. But we're going to be soon. We'll be releasing a vinyl, which is really exciting, and we have T-shirts and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, and our music videos are La Luna and Nightbird, and now Crack the Code on May 24th will be available to watch on YouTube for free. You know, just watch it, be inspired.
Absolutely. Okay, there you have it. So now I get to ask you
And
questions off the
and then
wall.
May 10th also. May 10th is my yoga show with Tina.
Oh
It's
yeah,
Revive
that
Yoga.
sounds groovy. I like that whole concept. It's really cool. A
Yeah,
good idea.
we do it by candlelight. Like, I
Oh,
produce the whole album by candlelight, and she
ah,
takes people into this beautiful meditative state. And tickets sell out really fast. So go to Revive Yoga in Lakewood and book your spot now. It'll be great.
Well, so I get to ask you questions now off the wall. And you don't have to answer. Anything you feel uncomfortable with,
I'll
don't
totally
say.
answer anything. It's fine.
Okay. So, what was the very best thing that you've ever experienced during this journey in the 30 years you've been doing it? And what was the worst thing, if maybe you didn't have any, but what was the worst thing that you ever had to figure out how to get around
Oh my God.
or
I
do?
mean, like in music?
Yeah. And during your music journey, yes.
Well, like one time, I mean, we were overseas and the guys, I was with these two, I loved them. And man, they like made a deal with a Pakistani prince and they sold me.
Oh,
They shook hands on it. Yeah.
well, how much? No.
I had 2 goats and 12 chickens, and some of the hotel had to send me up to my room for the evening. Yeah, I was pissed. It was like, there was one night where I was on stage here in SeaTac at the Red Lion, and there was all these guys in the audience it was called Legends in Concert, and they were all from different bands from back in the day. And I was in the middle. I started singing. We were sequenced back then. I don't do that anymore because I don't want to do that. I just think I did that.
I don't know what sequence it
God,
is.
I just hate it. But anyway, we were in the middle. We started singing "I Bless the Rains" down in Africa, and we were just a trio. It was me and Peter Ritz and a guy that a lot of you know named Max Renshaw. He's an old friend of mine. He plays out in the South Sound area as a guitarist. Amazing dude, friend. But anyway, we're on stage and I get through the first, and here comes the chorus, and I'm on my cordless mic, and this dude rushes the stage and grabs my cordless mic and starts singing, and I'm like, I look at Max and I'm like, who the hell is this? Nobody touches my mic. What the hell? And Max and Peter, they're just like sitting there with their eyes wide open, and Max goes, that's Bobby Kimball. He's the one that sang this song. That's Toto. And I'm like, what? And that night, I was hanging out with Randy Meisner, the drummer for the Eagles, and Michael Monarch from the, Steppenwolf. And, we ended up, I won't even get into all that, but, there's just throughout my life, there's so many, I have so many weird stories, but, Tahoe, I mean, but the main equation of the whole thing is these musicians, they might have had some really great times in life, but they're, just living paycheck to paycheck sometimes too, and it's all about creating. And some artists have created some hits and they end up like living off those hits for the rest of their lives. And sometimes they don't ever do much more because they're too stagnant and they're making money off of that one thing. And then, and that's their claim to fame. But, it's music is like an ever-changing force. And as a creative, you need to just keep moving forward no matter what happens with your art, right? And it just evolves.
I agree. Mm-hmm. And finally, what pearl of wisdom, and I'm sure you have many, would you like to share with us, and especially people that are, starting their journey and haven't had the experiences that you've had? And what kernel of wisdom would you like to impart to them? You've got about 2 minutes.
So I have, like things like The Voice and American Idol really ruined it for the industry. It made everybody think that they can get on stage and be a star. And it really is like, a 5% of 5% of people that really have it that should be on that stage, and it, it's such a deep form of inner self and art to like write a song, put it out there. You can't lie when you're writing a song. You speak the truth, no matter how raw it is. And whether people appreciate it or if they judge you or whatever, you cannot think about that. You have to just do it, send it out. And it's like a worm in the ear. Like you can't get it out of your head and it will drive you crazy. It's just constantly repeating itself like a play, like recording until you put it out there. And when it's out there, okay, now it's done. And then something else will come in, right? But, do what you do it well. Don't expect any fame and fortune, because a lot of times there won't be. You do it for the love of doing it, and to inspire others. To it's like the life's choice, the life's journey is giving to the world what God gave you to give.
Absolutely. I 100% understand. So with that, I have to say goodbye. That whole hour is gone. It's been most interesting. I really appreciate you coming, Sunny Jo.
It's been lovely to meet you.
Thank you. And I hope we meet again. And I do want you back on the show if you feel like you have some time that you can catch us up on all these exciting things you've been doing. And your next trip to Istanbul, right?
Istanbul, yeah. Yeah, and I'd love to bring my band for you to meet all of them. And
absolutely,
they're all equally as interesting. I mean, I learn from them every time we get together. So
it's a team effort. I get it.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Well, there's a few. There's a lady, Julia Capona, looks like, says, "Sorry, you have beautiful inside and out." So you know her?
I love Julia. I went to school with her. We've known each other since we were like 7 years old, and she is also a breast cancer survivor. She just beat it, and she is a little warrior, man. And she just got back from Hawaii, and she's an amazing friend. She's an amazing soul, and I love her dearly.
And Julia, she does say, "So glad to call you my friend." So,
thank you.
All right, girls and listeners, I have a wonderful time today. I will get you back, hopefully. If you have anything that you want to be on broadcast for, just let me know and I'll get you on.
Thank you. Thank you, Joy.
All right. Take care. Bye. Well, that's it for my show today. I do have another guest coming on Monday. Do tune in. I have another female, I believe, and I will post the advertisement for it. Truly enjoyed this interview today and hope you have as well. So in the meantime, I'll see you down the road. Take care. Let's see if I can get out of here gracefully. Bye-bye.